Hey, groovy cats and chicks, it's me, the world's most dangerous filmmaker, Rock Savage, here with some more groovy stuff to tell you about. You know, the talking last time we were here talked about the parallel movie economy, and I just wanted to discuss um, a movie I made years ago. Uh, made uh, made a movie called Mondo Pagan. And for some movies, I wouldn't recommend this for all movies, but definitely for this movie, it was my first documentary. And the issue with documentaries are to me they're harder to make than scripted films because you shoot a lot of footage and you're not sure what to leave out. With a script, I know where I'm going to go with my next scene. With a documentary, you're trying to say, well, which is more interesting? Should I put this first, that first, that first, depending on what your documentary is, of course. You know, if it's about a sequence of events that happen, well, that makes it easier. But when you're doing a documentary like Mondo Pagan, which was about witches, druids, and pagans, you know, which all actually witches and druids and all go under the same umbrella of paganism, and of course the Asatru's as well. You say, um, you do random interviews here, there, and everywhere, and you're wondering, should we have a little bit of variety or put all the Wiccans here and all the Druids here? No, I decided that I was going to spread them out and bounce back and forth on the issues I did, and I decided couldn't be a talking head movie. It had to have visuals. We had to show altars, people's altars. We showed a pagan rock and roll band. We showed some of the rituals, and of course the exciting fire dance at the end of the movie. So, and also we were quite fortunate to have a pagan celebrity on our hands, the great Isaac Bonowitz, who's passed away a few years ago, unfortunately, and he had a lot of interesting says. He's a noted pagan author and founded of a Druid organization here in America, and was a very noted pagan author. As a matter of fact, let me show you the the cover here. You probably just saw it at the beginning of this video. I was shamelessly self-promoting it. Yes, Mondo Pagan, and that is definitely a great movie. If I do say so myself, it turned out better than I expected for my first documentary. It was the first movie that I did not shoot on film. I shot this on I believe, I'm trying to think now, it was on high 8 video, which later we switched to digital video, which I still shoot on today. I prefer shooting on physical media. It's safer than having it disappear in the camera. For the YouTube videos, of course, I am shooting strictly on digital and backing it up on a portable hard drive. But when it comes to making movies, I prefer physical media. I just find I'm more comfortable with it. I find it to be safer. But anyway, yes. So yes, Mondo Pagan, was a great documentary. It turned out better than I thought. It actually almost instantly made a profit for me, which was very rare. Usually I'd had to wait quite a while before one of my independent films would even make a profit. A lot of them just broke even, but Mondo Pagan made a profit very quickly. The interesting thing about it is that I actually did a test run of it, the first cut, and the first cut I was in the audience and I was bored, and I knew I had to do some quick re-editing of the film. And I said, well, what's really missing? They only had me as a host. What I did was I got a co-host, Jeff Bagato, who is a freelance writer. He's written for the Washington City paper and other publications. And so, he had expressed, when I told him about Mondo Pagan, he says, wow, I know a lot about pagans. How come you didn't ask me to be in there? I said, I didn't know you did that. I said, well, here's what I need you to do. I need you to ask me questions as if you were in the audience and didn't know anything about pagans, and I will answer those questions. Because one of the reasons I made this film is I was disturbed. Well, I was always interested in the occult and the mysterious, UFOs, magic, mysticism, the supernatural. And so it was only natural that I make this movie on pagans and witchcraft and all the stuff that comes with it. And I was quite disturbed that some people thought the pagans were Satanists, which nothing could be further from the truth. So I'm like, okay, well, we got to set the record straight here. So I think we were the first independent film to be aimed at the general public to basically educate people on what paganism really was. It actually got reviewed in the Washington Post, and they referred to the movie as politely voyeuristic, and basic. Which I wonder if the reviews here on the back. Yes, politely voyeuristic falls somewhere in between the lurid and the educational, and that was written by Michael O'Sullivan at the Washington Post. And yeah, I have to agree with that. It is somewhere between the lurid and the educational, because a lot of the pagans like to go sky-clad, so there's lots of naked people on there. Some beautiful people, and some people who probably should have kept their clothes on. But hey, you know what they say, love the skin you're in. So hey, that's what it's all about, baby. So, but anyway, it was great because people explained what their faith is, what they believed in, and the fact that none of these people worshipped Satan. that was very untrue, and it's just very slanderous. And of course, if you ever saw a lot of those crappy shows that created the Satanic Panic, Gerardo Rivera, he had a special, and that fat-headed, stupid bimbo Oprah Windbag, she did a special too about, ooh, Satanism. Ooh, it's coming to get you. Ooh, the devil made me do it. The devil made a lot of people watch Oprah, I'm sure. But the bottom line is that none of that was true. And I think this film was the first to explore that. And like I said, having Isaac Bonowitz on there, who's very articulate in expressing the history of paganism and neo-paganism, which at the time was one of the fastest growing religions in the country. I'm not sure if that's still true, but as far as 1999, 2000, yeah, that was true back then. So that being said, I was very fortunate that I was given access to the camp where they had their gathering, and it was a very large gathering at the time, around 700 people. I was very fortunate to have access, and people were willing to talk about their faith, and it was wonderful. And it's a very fun movie. It's really a lot of fun. I watched it again recently. I said, man, this was pretty good. And some people say I sensationalized it. Some people said I was biased. Well, you didn't say anything negative about the pagans. Well, that doesn't make sense. Why do all documentaries have to be negative about something? This was just to be informative. It wasn't to take sides. Basically, this was what you really do when you go and report. You don't create a story. You let the story tell itself. It's people say, hey, this journalists out there are making fake news nowadays because they want to change the world. Well, that's not your job. Your job is to report, observe, and report. And that's pretty much what we do in this movie. We observe and report, and basically let the pagans, witches, druids, and Asatruths tell their own story. And that's how you're supposed to do a documentary. A lot of documentaries cannot be trusted, as you know. And some can, but you have to filter that out. So anyway, um, this is available in our website for those of you who are interested. Um, you know, as you know, I'm not taking any credit cards right now, or I am taking checks and money orders. So you need to print out the order form, write a check or money order to me, and your preference of which CD you want there. Some of our CDs has our movie soundtrack. Other ones are audiobooks with characters from our movies, and some are the radio come-ons for B movies from the 60s and 70s. Some, yeah, 60s and 70s. I'm not sure if they did radio come-ons in the 50s. Maybe they did, but I'll have to listen to that again. I have quite a collection of that. So anyway, um, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I wanted to talk to you about Mondo Pagan, about documentaries. Um, when you make a documentary, my recommendation is that you make it about something you like or you're interested in, because you really don't want to, there's already so much negative crap out there. You may want to do something positive that you like. I mean, I made Mondo Pagan. I later made Mondo Vacation, about really roadside attractions and uh, inexpensive theme parks you can take the family to and have a great time with. I'll talk about that later, I think, in another video. I also did a documentary on, of course, cryptic monsters, Mondo monsters, where I talked about the Flatwoods monster, the Mothman, and of course, which those two are West Virginia monsters. I talked about the Maryland monster, the Goat Man. So that's another one. And like I said, you should, if you're going to make a documentary, do it about something you like or you're interested in, so that you have something positive. You can put something positive out there rather than all this negative crap that's out there, you know. I mean, I know that some negative stuff have to be out there. We have to expose things like the evil pharmaceutical companies and organizations that try to steal your money. That's very important too. But it's also important to let people know some positive stuff that they can get into, you know, and stuff like that, and and also inform people about stuff they don't know about, that that they have misconceptions about, and say, no, this is how it really is. So anyway, yeah. And like I said, in my opinion, I think that editing uh, scripted films is a lot easier than editing the documentaries. It's just, the scripted films, I know what's coming next. Documentaries, I'm like, well, what do I want to show next? Yeah, so, but anyway. So anyway, I'll have a funny side note about Mondo Pagan. After I made it, there's always, a lot of people loved it and praised it, but there's always people who, you can't please everybody. Okay, as a filmmaker, if you're an independent filmmaker out there, you need to know that not everybody's going to like your work, and you're just going to have to, one thing you should never do, never apologize for your work. I don't care if somebody says they're offended, too damn bad. They need to act like adults. And they're offended, too bad. Well, you didn't like it, you got offended. Put a Band-Aid on and go home and cry to mommy, or man up, go to a bar and have a beer. But don't cry to me about it. I don't really care if I offended anybody. And you shouldn't care either. You do the work you need to do that you think is the way it should be done, and don't give a crap. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, here's what happened, and I think it's amusing. People on this pagan news group didn't like my film, even though it had Isaac Bonowitz, who was noted pagan author, and they said I was too sensational. Well, I do everything with dynamic greatness, and so they probably didn't, they thought I was just very hyperbole with all the descriptions and everything, but hey, So anyway, that being said, they decided that they were going to make their own Pagan documentary, and they were going to do it right, and it was going to be very serious. And you know, one of my Pagan buddies who helped me on the film, she called me up and told me about it, and I saw what they were saying on the news group. This is before we had Facebook or before MySpace even. You know, you had news groups, and I was like, okay, you know, well, let's see what they do. Never heard from them for, well, didn't hear, not never heard from them. All of a sudden, after a few months, everything was silent. For a few weeks, they were constantly talking about this project. And I called my friend up. I said, hey, Myth, what happened to that film these people were making? She goes, let me check the news group. And she made a statement, and apparently they all complained that they couldn't get anyone together even to have a meeting to actually get the movie started. They didn't even get off the ground. They didn't even get to put anything on paper. So they all gave up on it. Well, the moral of the story is, it's not easy making a film. You've got to be dedicated. You can't just say, oh, you want to make a film. It's like, okay, do you have a plan? They didn't have a plan there. They just, you know, very easy to critique somebody and say, well, I didn't like your film. I can do better. Well, okay, do it. But a lot of times people can't do it, or they don't have the energy or the willpower. You know, it's a lot. It is time consuming, and you have to be passionate about it. And if you're not, it ain't going to work for you. So, yeah. So that never got off the ground. What can I say? But yeah. And I wasn't rooting for it to fail. I think the more documentaries you have about that subject, the better. And there's always other interesting authors that need to be interviewed. You know, the only reason I don't go back and revisit it is I've already done it, and I'm moving on to other subjects. Anyway, so that's all for now. I hope everybody stays groovy. Um, like I said, you want to support the channel, you buy one of my movies. Like I said, you buy the DVD, you get a free CD from me. So click on the link below to www.savagefilmgroup.com. Visit that website, print out that order form, and buy a movie. Or buy 2 movies. Remember, for every DVD you buy, you get a free CD, because that's the kind of guy I am. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you can do your part to support the parallel economy and fight the forces of evil wotards. And just, we need to defeat these people, because they're really the scum of the earth. Anyway, you stay groovy, and I hope those of you out there those of you who love to watch movies, I hope you hope you're supporting independent and underground cinema. And those of you who make movies, I hope you're still making them. You make those movies, okay? All right. I'll catch you later on the next show. Stay groovy. I'm out of here.